verse 22 to verse 31. Let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. For if we sin willfully, that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. I read verse 46 again. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moses is Lord die without mercy on the 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sorer punishment suppose ye shall he be thought worthy, who hath trodden before the Son of God, and hath counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and hath done despite unto the Spirit of grace. For we know him that hath said, Vengeance belongeth unto me, I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people. The Lord shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And he's talking about forsaking the assemblies. Forsaking the assembly. He's talking about people that, as the manner of some is, people that have the manner that, they don't respect church. They don't go to church. It's, church is too far from me. Oh no, I have to drive an hour and 20 minutes to church. Okay, you can drive an hour and, what did Abraham do? Abraham, he picked up his whole family, as God told him, and Abraham picked up his whole family and said goodbye to the rest, the people that were around him in the area that he was at. He said goodbye, and he never saw them again. That's faith, and he didn't even know where he was going. Do you think you can make? Jesus Christ dragged the cross up, for us, and he has saved us. We are saved. We are purchased with a price. Do you think you can go to church? And also, we are sinning willfully if we forsake the assembling of ourselves together. The Bible says in Hebrews, I read this twice, verse 26, for if we sin willfully, and I'll read verse 25 and 26 again, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as men of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. So it says, if we sin willfully, so if you sin on purpose, after that ye have received the knowledge of truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. So what sinning is? Sinning willfully, like not going to church. There remaineth no sacrifice for sins. And by the way, let me just make this point also. Last year, unfortunately this year, the Soul Mega Marathon in London, we have less people than we had last year. Why? Why do we have less people? It's because people that came, to the marathon, a lot of people have scattered abroad. Okay, for exactly precisely this reason, they made the wrong decisions. Okay, and a lot of people were evil. I'm gonna put this out there. A lot of people were evil, but a lot of people were just foolish, and they just didn't know this message. And the rest of the sermon is going to be from the book of Proverbs. So if you could just turn to Proverbs chapter 1, please. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about going to church. And when you go to church, going to church for the right reason, okay? Going to church for the right reason. you go to church to try and teach people about the Jews or the pre-trib rapture or the pre-draft rapture. Is that why you go to church? Or do you go to church to sit down and shut up and listen to the pastor? Okay. Yeah. You should go to church with an open heart, and you should not think that you're better than the pastor, better than everyone, because you know the truth about the sodomites, or because you know the truth about replacement theology or whatever. Okay, you know what Pastor Anderson said, that when he was at Regents Baptist Church, it's the church that sent him out, they didn't even know that he believed these things about the Jews and about the end times prophecy. They didn't even know. Pastor Anderson, he don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm a faithful word listener." He actually stated, he actually held his mouth closed and just listened and tried to learn, because you know what, maybe you're on something as well, and maybe I'm on some things also. So just going to the pastor and just telling him, you must, just trying to just preach at him. That's the sort of the tail wagging the dog right there. So it's backward. And is everybody at Proverbs chapter 1? So I want to tell you about wisdom. I want to tell you what wisdom is. Does anybody know what wisdom is? What is wisdom? Anybody?
Fear of the Lord.
Amen. That is wisdom. Wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Mm-hmm. So if you go to Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7, that's actually the exact answer I was looking for. So Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. If you could go to Proverbs chapter 2 verse 1. Proverbs 2 verse 1. Maybe I don't know. For some of us, maybe this sermon is hitting sort of close to home. But I do apologize for once in a while having to listen to a hard sermon, for some hard truth. But honestly, everything I'm saying is biblical. It's right here. Okay.
Amen.
So Proverbs chapter 2, verse 1. I'm going to start reading from verse 1. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom, and apply thine heart to understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge, and liftest up thy voice for understanding. If thou seekest her as silver, and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. So God gives wisdom, and wisdom is the fear of the Lord. You know what wisdom is? Wisdom is that you fear, before you open your mouth, you fear. You fear about, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to say something that's edifying? Or am I going to say something that's stupid? Or am I going to say something that's, that there's no reason. There's no reason for me to say that. For example, telling the pastor that, oh, you're wrong on this, so let me show you why. Let me show you this doctrine from the Bible. Okay? No, you need to sit down. Maybe you'll have to listen to sermons that are false. But you know what? The next week you'll learn something. And also, or even on that week after that sermon, maybe you haven't learned much from that sermon. But I guarantee there is still one thing you learn from that sermon. And also, you are still after the preaching, you are still at church. You are still fellowshipping with like-minded believers. So, if you're wise, you're going to sit down and you are going to listen to the pastor and don't just run your mouth. And this, by the way, with a lot of people here last year, this was a huge thing. They would just go to church and they say, "Oh, this church is just so bad because it's of the devil because of dispensationalism." Okay? But I'm not talking about hyper dispensationalism. I'm just talking about just normal, old IFB type of dispensationalism, where they believe in the preacher of the rapture, and they believe wrong about the Jews, and they say, oh, that church is of the devil. I haven't even been there, but that church is from the devil. I mean, that's literally what people said, okay? So, wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Before you say anything, before you say, oh, that church is from the devil, maybe you should go there and visit it one time.
Yeah.
Maybe you should speak to the pastor, or maybe you should go into the congregation. And by the way, one more thing: if you want to find out whether a church is a good church or a bad church, whether it's a good corrupt church or a good church, don't call on the pastor. Go to that church and speak to the people. Speak to the people that listen to him. Do a fruit inspection. Okay?
Yep.
Don't speak to the pastor and ask him about what he believes about salvation or what he believes about certain things. Go to the people in the pew, and those are the people that you should speak to, asking about salvation, etc. So I'm almost finished. I'm just going to go to a few more verses right here in the conclusion. Turn to chapter 4, verse 5. It says, "Get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee." I'm reading from Proverbs 4, 5, 6, and 7. "Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And with all that getting, get understanding." By the way, I just want to throw this out there. There's a difference between wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But out of all these three, knowledge is, knowing facts, for example. And understanding is, you understand things fairly easily. But wisdom is, you need all these things in one place. It's like the Trinity, you need them all in one place. You must have the whole thing to be a balanced Christian. And wisdom is the fear of the Lord. You must, consider, you must use knowledge, and you must use understanding. And you must also use that with the fear of the Lord, with wisdom. You must also use that with wisdom. Where was I? Chapter 9, verse 10 in Proverbs says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding." So that was chapter 9, verse 10. I'm going to be reading from chapter 13, verse 10 says, "Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom." So one more thing on this. A lot of people going to these bunches of churches, and they cause all these problems, all this contention, and they're like, "Oh, I can't go back to that church now today. I can't go back because they've excommunicated me or whatever." And people here right now might be thinking I'm preaching at them, but I'm absolutely not preaching at any particular person. I'm preaching that there's been so many people that have the exact same thing happened. So. I'm not preaching at anybody in particular. I promise you that. And chapter 15, verse 33, "The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility." Chapter 31, verse 26 is more to the ladies, but also applicable to everyone. Chapter 31, verse 26 says, "She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness." So, instead of being all puffed up, why don't you use some wisdom and use some kindness also? And what is the conclusion of, let us hear the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep His commandments. This is the whole duty of man, right? We must go to church. We must, fear God, keep the commandments, to go to church, etc. There are some really practical points that I want to say in conclusion of this sermon, and the reason for this sermon is to motivate. I hope now we are more motivated to go to church, a little bit more motivated to go to church. Move to a good church. You know, Bethel Baptist, what is Bethel Baptist Church a good church or what?
Amen.
It's a good church. And there's a good church in Manchester. There's a good church in Falkirk in Scotland. You know, if you live too far from a church, why don't you move to a church? Yeah, and do the right thing, and instead of just saying, "Oh, I can't go to church; it's too far." Okay, we live in the UK, and it's not exactly the easiest, but you know, that's the right thing. And the last thing I want to make is go to Pastor Anderson's meeting in Dublin.
Yeah, man.
And just be there, or if you don't want to go to Dublin, or you know, you can't make that day, just go to Amsterdam or something. But Dublin's going to be the bigger event, I think. So, yeah. So let's bow our heads and have a word of prayer. And Father, I thank you so much for filling me with your Holy Spirit and filling us all with your Holy Spirit. Thank you so much for this day. We had more salvations today than I would have imagined or was expecting. Thank you so much for all of the people that got saved. Our numbers were very conservative, but I thank you so much for every salvation. Thank you for each and every soul winner that came today. And please allow us to live a little bit closer to you, a little bit better Christian, a tiny bit closer to you than we were yesterday. And in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.